Okay, let's go back to our exciting Transatlantic Science Summit. I hope everybody has time for lunch. So we have to stick to our schedule. So we are going to start. And now we are moving to the session 4, an exciting session, because this session will provide insights into the funding opportunities available to foster French-American collaboration. So this session will provide a lot of information for those who are interested, and I'm sure that a lot of people from the audience are very motivated to start and to strengthen French-American collaborations. So we are very fortunate because we have representatives from various institutions, and we have a bit modified the rank for presentation. So first we're going to start with Dr. Cyrine Tekine, who is Program Director at the Office of International Research, Science and Engineering, National Science Foundation. Then the second speaker will be Dr. Mireille Guyader, Counselor for Science and Technology at the Embassy of France to the United States in Washington, D.C. Then it will be Dr. Fabien Agenès, Director, and Fabien Agenès is the INSERM representative in North America at Washington, D.C. Then we'll have Jeanne Réville, Project Manager from the CNRS office at Washington, D.C. And then we'll conclude with Dr. Jean-Paul Silvestrini, Director at the Georgia Tech CNRS IRL 2958 from Georgia Tech, Europe. And after those presentations, I'm happy to introduce that those presentations will be complemented by testimonials from alumni of Franco-American exchange programs, namely the Chateaubriand program and the Fulbright program. Before starting, I would like also to mention that all the slides with the consent of the speaker will be sent to all the attendees after the end of this meeting, so probably beginning of next week. To present also what's going on after session 4. After session 4, we'll take a few minutes to take a picture of all attendees. So you will be invited to switch on your camera and to allow a picture from the screens to have at least testimonies and pictures from all the attendees who participated to this Science Summit. And then finally, we will conclude this enriching day with remarks from Dr. Guyader, Counselor for Science and Technology at the Embassy of France. So let's start with Dr. Cyrine Tekine. Dr. Cyrine Tekine, are you here? Are you connected? I'm talking now to the technical staff. Is Dr. Tekine connected?
I can see Dr. Tekine, but you have to unmute.
Okay, so now I'm able to unmute myself. Hello, everyone.
Hello. So please, the floor is yours. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. It is indeed my pleasure to be here, albeit virtually. Because, can you hear me? Is the audio okay? Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. As I was saying, it's an extra pleasure to be the first speaker because it gives me maybe 30 more seconds to share my enthusiasm about our partnerships, because we know that to make any kind of deep and meaningful impact on the state of knowledge on science and on our lives, we need the power of partnerships in science and technology. And I come from the part of the National Science Foundation that's called Office of International Science and Engineering. And there's absolutely no contradiction, because when we say National Science Foundation, the foundation is national, not the science. Science is international. Of course, when we talk about international partnerships, we are talking about those partners around the world who share our common values, which are openness, transparency, reciprocity, respect for intellectual property. So we have been making strategic investments in order to promote health, prosperity, welfare. As you know, we're surrounded by tremendous challenges, and we only turn to science and technology to address these. Climate change, disaster resilience, the use of emerging technologies are some of the real world problems that we need to solve. And fundamental research coupled with youth-inspired innovations can achieve that. And that's a very important balance that the United States National Science Foundation has been striving to strike. Fundamental research and youth-inspired innovations in order to advance the state of science, of knowledge, and in order to make an impact on our lives. We have talked, I just mentioned use of emerging technologies, and those, of course, are artificial intelligence, quantum information science and engineering, next generation wireless networking, biotechnology, advanced computing in general. The office I come from in NSF, we focus on bringing together partners from institutions, agencies, and industries in order to advance both the frontiers of science and co-innovate. So, having said all that, our collaborations with France constitute a terrific example of what we can accomplish together. Now, specifically in international collaborations, about 3/4 of all of our international collaborations happen because principal investigators team up with principal investigators. France has been a most important partner to the US, consistently in one of the top 3 positions when we look at the volume of number of collaborative international activities. So when we look at, for example, any length of time, let's say the last 5 years, we have together made millions of euros or dollars of investments in strategic partnerships in hundreds of projects that involve US and French researchers. About a year ago, little over a year ago, NSF signed a memorandum of understanding with ANR, the French National Research Agency, of course, and we signed this MOU in order to foster the excellence in collaborative research and training activities that we've come to enjoy over the years, facilitate free exchange of ideas, but also to reduce the burden of proposers, reviewers, and funders. The cooperation in the approach to the review processes will facilitate the reducing the burden. We had 3 ongoing programs. At the time we signed the MOU, and the MOU, the Memorandum of Understanding, immediately caused 2 new programs to be launched. And I'd like to talk about these a little bit. The first one of the 2 new programs is on sustainable chemistry, specifically catalysis with earth-abundant materials. So NSF's Directorate for Mathematical and Physical Sciences runs this program. As you might know, NSF has 8 broad disciplinary directorates, and then offices that are cross-cutting, such as the Office of International Science and Engineering. The second new program is run by a multiplicity of directorates out of biological sciences, engineering, computer information science and engineering, and mathematical physical sciences. This is the Quantum Information Science and Engineering program. So that's a multidisciplinary program, of course. The older ongoing relationships we've had with ANR that are not simply PI to PI, but under formal agreements, are on one of them is on neuroscience. That's an NSF's collaborative research in computational neuroscience program, and ANR is a partner of that program. Computational neuroscience, of course, is a theoretical foundation of the technological approaches to understanding the principles, dynamics of the nervous system. And with Duke University and University of Côte d'Azur, for example, we have a wonderful example of one of these neuroscience-based projects. Another older program that is also ongoing is with NSF's Directorate for Computer and Information Science and Engineering, with all of the advanced computing programs. And we have, for example, a brain-related project that's, I'm just picking some of my favorite examples of US-France collaborations. This one is between the University of Minnesota and University of Pierre and Marie Curie in Paris. And finally, we had a wonderful program that has come to the end of its voyage. It will probably morph into something else. It's the final year has been run in biosciences and physics, the intersection between biosciences and physics, so that we can understand mechanisms underlying processes at molecular, subcellular, cellular, and tissue layers. That program has made its last awards in fiscal year 23. All of these are run by disciplinary directorates, but also the Office of International Science and Engineering runs some competitions, annual competitions and programs, which are of course dear to our hearts. Maybe I'd like to, if I have time in the next few minutes, I'd like to highlight these programs. One of them is called the ExcelNet. ExcelNet connects networks of networks. So networks of researchers in the US with networks of researchers in other countries. And we've had French entities, the observatory in Paris, for example, IPN Lyon, the physics lab in Caen, are involved in one of these ExcelNet network of networks. So this project in particular aims to pursue new windows into the physics of the universe, if you will. Another one is with US, France, and Canada. So there's a multiplicity of countries involved. We also have this IRIS program, International Research Experience for Students, where we send cohorts of US graduate or undergraduate students to other countries, and they're advised by both the US PI and the PI that's a collaborator overseas. And Virginia Tech sends a cohort of students to their French collaborator, the Grenoble Institute of Technology, for example, and they're working in engineering projects that involve control, communication, and cybersecurity and related challenges. We've had many cohorts of students that we were happy to send to France. And finally, the apple of our eye, our new Global Centers program, ran its maiden voyage last year. It's a thematic program with participation from NSF counterparts in other countries. Unfortunately, due to funding cycle schedules, France was not able to join, or we were not able to get France as an investor in this program. However, one of last year's centers has French collaborators that involve climate change and clean energy. In particular, the name of this project is Global Nitrogen Innovation Center for Clean Energy and Environment, and it has French involvement, and we're sure in the future there'll be plenty of opportunities to work together. So it's not news to anyone here that in order to move ahead, we're bonded by our shared values, and we're going to continue to push boundaries to make life better for our communities and our planet. So we look forward to many more fruitful collaborations with our colleagues in France. With that, I'll end my piece, and thank you again.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Tekine, for that insightful presentation and all those very important information. I forgot to mention in my introduction that to keep the fluidity of the meeting, because all our valuable speakers will present a lot of information, it's better, we thought with the organizers that it's better to keep the questions at the end of the presentation. So, except that I don't know, Dr. Tekine, are you able to stay? No, I think you have to leave. So maybe we can see whether there's any question for Dr. Tekine before she leaves. Yeah.
Also, please.
Yes. Is there any question in the audience? Not yet. Yes. So there's Thierry Lechley, please.
I thank you very much for coming and talking to your program, very valuable program. So I'm a researcher from France, from CNRS, and I do get a lot of money from the National French Agency, and I've been benefiting in the past from the collateral funding between ANR in France and the Taiwanese National Funding Agency. And I know there is such a program between NSF and ANR, but it's really restricted to a few topics. I was wondering, because it's completely open in Taiwan, if you guys, how do you actually choose the topics onto which you're going to fund like bilateral projects? And is it possible to open it to other area of research? What's your plan in the future?
Thank you for that excellent question. Indeed, the topics of collaboration come from the community. So we're always open to make changes to topics that are enlisted. Every day we're considering, strategizing where to place taxpayers' money in investments in science and engineering. And so far, the topics that I just enlisted are some of the areas that we collaborate with France. And of course, the topic has to be mutually beneficial to more than one country, because as you may know, the National Science Foundation will fund only the US-based researchers, and through the formal agreement, our partner country will then, or our counterpart in our partner country will then fund their researchers. And ANR has been our counterpart in France. We're always open to new topics as long as there's a pull from the research community or communities. We will evaluate them, and that's how all these topics have come about. Very few of them are pushed on us, if you will. It's a pleasure to serve the pull from our communities when they come up with these proposals.
Okay, so there is a way to actually do that, to submit ideas somewhere, like a mailbox or something?
You can always send an email to me. I'm the point of contact for France, for NSF. And we're a very flat organization. I'll be very happy to carry things through.
Thank you very much. I think we have other questions, and I think that Jean-Paul Savestrini wanted to ask one. So maybe if we can, Jean-Paul, if you want to ask your question, thank you very much for answering.
My pleasure.
Nice to meet you then. Jean-Paul, maybe you can unmute yourself.
Okay, thank you, Thierry. Yeah, I had a small question. So you mentioned in your speech that the process, the review process of the common project submitted to both NSF and ANR has been simplified. Could you elaborate a little bit on that?
I'll be happy to. The Dear Colleague letters that we publish, and the counterpart of the same is published by ANR on the website, has a listing of the instructions. The aim is to have one review process. So the same proposal gets reviewed by, if the lead agency is NSF, the project is thrown into the panel review process of NSF. If the lead agency is ANR, and in most of our collaborations over the years, we toggle, we simply change roles year to year, then the proposal will be reviewed by ANR. And the agreement between the two agencies is when one review process results in the decision to award a proposal, then the other agency will fund their part of the project.
Thank you. That's a very good simplification. Yeah.
So I think we have another question from Monsef Derisi.
Yeah, thank you, Pascal, for your invitation. Thank you very much, ma'am, for your very interesting talk and very positive perspectives. I mean, I'm really glad to hear that you are open to new topics. And I mean, to tell you the truth, 3 years ago, with the help of the French Office for Science and Technology at the French Embassy at Washington, D.C., we started a sort of collaboration that is gathering, let's say, something like 40 to 50 people working on autonomous vehicles. And there is a strong interest from both countries, universities, companies, DOTs from United States, same from France. So the large deployment of this kind of transportation means that are now, I mean, really at the age of innovation. And with the help once again of the French Office of Science and Technology, we had a workshop last year that gathered something like 50 people from both sides. And now it's a really hot topic, okay? We are trying our best with the help of the French Office of Science and Technology, and as well as with some people in France, to launch something at the French Agency of Research. Would it be possible that by your, very precious help, that we have the ears of the National Science Foundation to start a call of project for autonomous vehicles, where Georgia Tech is interested, many universities, CNRS, CAA, and my university, Université Gustave Eiffel, are much interested. Would it be possible to think about this and to help us erect something positive things for this topic. Thank you.
Thank you for that very interesting information and question. You always have our ears. And serving as the point of contact for France, it's my pleasure to, it will be my pleasure to look at the write-up of what you just summarized. It may well be folded into one of the programs that we already have, because we do have an umbrella memorandum of understanding with France. Large projects large collaboration can always be folded into one of the ongoing ones, unless the decision is to start a new program that will generate a plethora of joint projects. But please do send a write-up, and I'll be very happy to take the conversation further.
Okay, thank you. I will do it through the French Office of Science and Technology. Thank you.
By the way, since you mentioned them, here is a shout out to my excellent colleagues here at the French Embassy. That has been a pleasure to work with them. I know that Dr. Mireille Guyeder is here, and it is really a pleasure to work with them.
Thank you.
Now we have a last question with Ranga.
Hi, and thank you so much for your explanation of ISC's programs. I was the director in my university for a PIRE program that commenced in 2010. I understand the PIRE program has been archived. Am I correct? And that it has now served its. Maybe it was there for 10 years, but I'm not sure. But it has now been archived. My question is to ask if for several of us who might be funded under individual National Science Foundation programs, are there supplements to those programs for internationalization? And if so, does the funding come from OISC, or does the funding come from the directorate that gave the principal award?
Thank you. I heard two parts to the question. First, the PIRE program is alive in that we have awardees that are being funded. We have not run the competition the last year or going on 2 years now. So it is alive, but maybe on life support.
Okay.
But we always have supplements such as ERC hosts. The ERC recipients in Europe can host US researchers. Those funds come from Office of International Science and Engineering. We also sometimes announce supplements to ongoing awards in particular areas. For instance, we had one in quantum information science and engineering. Those are co-funded by the disciplinary directorates. So my job is to shield our collaborators from the internal workings of the different buckets of funding, and to put together whatever makes most sense by co-funding mechanisms inside, so that we have a cohesive funding structure for our collaborations.
So does the when you said ERC,
Yes.
You didn't mean the engineering research centers. Did you mean the European Research Commission? Or?
European research researchers who are ERC recipients every year through a survey volunteer to host US researchers. And through that listing, and sometimes RPIs find their collaborators themselves.
Good. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
So I believe there's no additional questions. So I would like to thank Dr. Serine Tekine for being part of this meeting, and we were privileged to hear from her and all those insightful information. So thank you so much, Dr. Tekine.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me.
So now we are moving on to the next speakers. So I would suggest to listen to Dr. Guyader, then to Dr. Agenès, then to Mrs. Reville, and then to take questions after the three presentations. So Mireille, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Pascal, and thank you, Serine, for being with us this afternoon. I really appreciate, and it has been, yes, a very fruitful collaboration, and I'm sure we will work still on several projects in the next future together. So, good afternoon, everybody. It is a real pleasure for me to participate to this virtual first edition of the France Science Summit and give you some insight about possible mechanisms to support collaborative research. I am Mireille Guyader. I'm the Counselor for Science and Technology at the Embassy of France in Washington, D.C. First slide, please. Maybe a few words about the Office for Science and Technology. It is one of the 5 scientific networks that France has established in the world, and the largest one by its size. In the United States, we are present in 6 consulates general: Atlanta, of course, Boston, Chicago, Houston, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and at the embassy in Washington. We are a team of about 22 people, including university professors, research directors, or engineers with a wide range of skills in many fields: health, information technology, agronomy, engineering science, sustainable development, climate and environmental science, and innovation. Your main contacts, and you have already identified them, I think, during this day, is in Atlanta, are Pascal Cohen and Pauline Boulet. So don't hesitate to go back to them if you have any questions. Next slide. Our office has 3 main missions in the United States. First of all, foster bilateral cooperation in science and technology, and this event today is also part of our action to foster this cooperation. Expand innovation in deep tech on the transatlantic axis, and I will talk very briefly about a specific initiative that we have launched last year. And of course, inform policymakers about the science and technology advances. Next slide, please. So as you may not know, but there is a bilateral agreement that was signed in 2008 between the National Science Foundation and the Minister of Higher Education and Research that provides the organization of a joint committee meeting in science and technology every 2 to 3 years. The last one was in December 2021. And during that joint committee meeting, 3 main domains were identified for scientific collaboration: health, environment, and emerging technologies. So the next committee meeting is scheduled in 2025. And for the first time, France will bring to the table dedicated funding to the scientific domains that will be identified in 2025 as priority for scientific collaboration. So keep tuned, and we will let you. We will pass the information on which are the priorities for the next 2 to 3 years, with dedicating funding for that. Next slide. It has already been mentioned by Serine, so I won't go into too much detail about it. These are the main topics that are already identified as a priority to be co-funded by ANR and NSF. Next slide. But the Embassy of France has developed also different tools to support and strengthen the collaboration between France and the United States. Several bilateral funds have been established more than 20 years ago between France and some university in the United States to promote student and researchers exchanges. One program I would like to emphasize today with you is the Transatlantic Research Partnership Program. Next slide. This program has been launched to encourage and support cooperation among the most promising young French and American researchers and to foster innovative collaborative projects in all scientific domains. It offers $20,000 for 2 years to support a project led by 2 outstanding researchers at the beginning of their careers, one based in the US and the other in France. These funds will support transatlantic mobility of researchers and PhD students, collaborative research activities such as the organization of international workshops or conferences, and publication fees. Project can span or combine humanities, social sciences, and STEM, and research topics should be related to one of the several United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Next slide. In terms of student mobility, there are different programs at the bachelor level, at the master level, and at the PhD level. So here you can are listed the programs at the bachelor level, the Gilman Scholarship for France that offers scholarship up to 5,000 per student, 1,000 more for STEM students, and selection criteria and other information can be found on the dedicated website. The graduate scholars in France at the master level is awarded on the basis of financial need and are reserved for students accepted into eligible master's programs and university under the authority of the Ministry of Higher Education and Research. Again, selection criteria and other information can be obtained on the dedicated website. Next slide. At the PhD level, I would like to emphasize the Chateaubriand program, and you have already heard about this program this morning, and you will be hearing today a testimonial by former Chateaubriand laureate also later in this afternoon. This program allows PhD students enrolled in a US university to do research in France for a period of 4 to 9 months as part of a collaboration. Every year, about 60 students have the opportunity to benefit from this program, both in STEM and in social sciences and humanities. Next slide. Another program I wanted to highlight today is the French-American Doctoral Exchange Program that aims to enhance scientific exchanges between students from the US and French students working in the same scientific field in order to encourage their future collaborations. For this program, cohorts of about 10 PhD students are invited to France to meet with other students and their mentors, present their research, and visit labs. And this program this year will bring a cohort of students in quantum science to France, and they will have the opportunity to participate to a big event in Paris that bring together all the scientific community from France around the quantum science field. Next slide. So another mechanism that supports transatlantic mobility, and that probably most of you know already, is the Fulbright Fellowship Program. I've been asked by Martine Roussel, the director of the Franco-American Commission, to present you some of these opportunities. Next slide. So the Franco-American Commission operates the Fulbright program in France, and Fulbright France is now funded by the State Department, the French government, some local government, regional government, Hauts-de-France, Nouvelle-Aquitaine or Grand Est, and some prestigious university also. In France, over 20,000 people with about 12,000 French and 10,000 Americans have benefited from Fulbright funding since the program's inception. And the Commission supports 160 grants per year. So for the French public, Fulbright programs support up to 80 French grantees per year through different programs listed here for students with 3 years of higher education or more, such as French teaching assistantship at American universities and scholarships for graduate project at master's or doctoral level. Next slide. For US scholars interested in Fulbright opportunities in France, there are several funding programs available. The one called All Disciplines Fulbright Scholar Program for established scholars who have a recent doctoral degree in their pocket, if I may say, for a stay of 3 to 6 months in France in collaboration with the French Research Center. You have also specific opportunities available through partnerships with universities such as Grenoble-Alpes, Montpellier, and Aix-Marseille universities. You have also opportunities through regional council partnerships. And you have also, for more senior and more experienced scholars, the Tocqueville Fulbright Distinguished Chair Award for those scholars that are interested by higher education teaching and research during 1 semester in France, again, in all disciplines. Fulbright France also supports doctoral research scholarships, and for French researchers, it's a great also opportunity to come to conduct research project in a US lab with a support for up to 20 researchers per year in all science disciplines. Next slide. Fulbright runs also an annual, also here you have scholar opportunities and all the links for those programs. Next slide. Yes, I wanted to mention the Fulbright, these specific programs that Fulbright France runs to invite American university administrators to get a better understanding of the French higher education and research system. And I've heard Ranga this morning saying the work that needs to be done to better inform the American people about the organization of our research system. Maybe it would be useful also to inform French people about the organization of our research system, because I think it's complex for everybody. I understand that he thinks it's our role to do that, so I heard him, and so we will make sure to try to do a good job at that, although it's a very difficult task, I think. So yes, that was the information I wanted to give about the Fulbright program. Next slide. And finally, I would like to finish my talk because we are in Atlanta, and Atlanta is about also innovation coming from the research lab and from the university. So another part of our activity regards innovation. And in September 2023, our office launched an initiative to support French deep tech innovation on the transatlantic axis. It's called La Synapse, and it aims at building bridges between deep tech communities on both sides of the Atlantic and foster international cooperation in the fields of disruptive innovation to help solve major global challenges. And as it was also said previously, no country can do that alone, and so we need to work together. This La Synapse program includes organizing learning expeditions for students involved in an entrepreneurial project on both sides, fostering public-private partnerships through the French-American Innovation Days, addressing specific challenging issues and bringing together scientists from the academia, startups, and industry. And so if among this great assembly that is online today, if there are people that are interested to know more about this program, please don't hesitate to contact Pascal and Pauline. Next slide. And with that, I will thank you for your attention. You have all our contact information here, and the next slide gives you the specific contact for the Fulbright program. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Guyader, for this comprehensive synthesis of all those important tools to strengthen the French-American collaborations. So if you don't mind, we are going now to move on to the next speaker, Dr. Fabien Agenès, who is, as I said, as I introduced at the beginning, the INSERM representative in North America. So Fabien, the floor is yours, and then we'll take the questions after the Jan Revel's speech.
Thank you. Can you mute, please? Okay, so as mentioned, As mentioned by Pascal, I took office recently. I'm the INSERM representative in North America. I'm going to briefly describe INSERM and then my duties. So may I have the first slide, please? So INSERM is the leading research organization in the field of biomedicine in Europe. You have some figures on the first slide. It's around 15,000 people, between 15,000 and 20,000 publications per year, and over €1 billion budget, so slightly over $1.3 billion. Next slide, please. So this is our organization. Our CEO, Didier Samuel, is mentioned on this slide. I'd like to say that we will celebrate the 16th anniversary of INSERM on October the 29th in Washington, D.C. If you want to join the event, please send me an email. I'll send you an invitation. You can see on the left all the fields that we are interested in. Next slide, please. So we are a nationwide organization with labs all over France, mainly, of course, in Paris and surrounding cities. But we do develop lots of collaborations, and as you can see, many of them in North America. Next slide, please. Among our publications, so 50% are publications that involve an international partner, and 30% of this international co-publication involves a US-based partner. So the US are our first partner. You have here various tools that can help French scientists and their American-based partners fostering their collaboration. I'd like you to pay attention to the ones that are at the bottom. So we have an tool in order to initiate a collaboration. It's called First Steps. We provide 10,000 euros to a French researcher so that he can explore a potential partnership with an international collaborator. The second level is the International Research Project. That's a tool that we are sharing with CNRS. That's for collaboration that are more mature, and INSERM provides around $90,000 to the French partner to strengthen an ongoing collaboration. And then we just launched this year a new program called International Joint Lab, and we will be signing 4 new agreements in Washington, D.C. On October the 29th at the French Embassy. The 2 other programs are more top-down, are more of a top-down approach, so I won't comment now. May I have the next slide, please? So that's the partners, the country in which the partners of the First Step and IRP laureates were. So you see that, of course, the US stand in first position. Next slide, please. So you have here my contact details. I'd like to add some other comments. So at INSERM, we actively support scientists in accessing funding opportunities, whether it is through our own programs that I just described, but also those from other institutions. And we promote those opportunities by organizing info sessions in both France, remotely, or in North America. Additionally, we provide guidance and review applications, and offering tips to strengthen proposals. I know that this audience is multidisciplinary, so I'd like to point out that our institute fosters the development of a transdisciplinary research project, including but not only artificial intelligence and health. We work also in the field of humanities and health, such as research in the field of substance abuse, psychiatry, ethics, and more. We also recruit experts from a diverse field of STEM, such as chemistry, physics, or material science. One important service we are providing also is that we share our network to facilitate collaborations, whether it is for identification of a scientific expert or to establish link with the diplomatic network, introduce scientists to key stakeholders in university, think tanks, or other relevant organizations. I've heard the comments about the complexity in the French higher education and research ecosystem. Basically, we help you navigate through this system. I mean, sometimes it's difficult for you to identify the key person, but we can do that. We actively communicate on French North American scientific partnerships to enhance their visibility and impact. We also offer support in organizing bilateral workshops to strengthen international cooperations. So lastly, even though it's not the focus of the session, I'd like to highlight that we also promote career opportunities available at INSERM. I didn't know if I would have time, so I'd just like to tell you a bit more about me. I'm a scientist, so I've been with INSERM for almost 25 years now. I'm an immunologist. I last published 2 months ago in Science Advances. So I'm one of yours. I'm talking to a scientist. I know the hurdles and the joy it is to manage a lab. So I fully understand you. I have also deep knowledge of the French and the American ecosystems. I've been based in, of course, for some time in France, but also in North America for over 15 years. And when talking about North America, I'm referring to the US, Los Angeles, but also Canada, Montreal, and Vancouver. So I took office at the beginning of the month. I'm not alone. That's a first. We are two dedicated person to help you. And so I have also a deputy, Sarah Minry. She will accompany me in this journey. I'll be happy to answer your questions at the end of the session after Jeanne's talk. I think, Pascal, you want to introduce her?
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Ajones, for that insightful presentation at the INSERM level. So now we are welcoming the CNRS representative. So Jeanne Reville will present the information from the CNRS office at Washington, D.C. Thank you, Jeanne. Jeanne, are you connected?
Jeanne is here. She just have to unmute.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Pascal. Hello, everyone. I'm Jeanne Reville, Project Manager of the CNRS, National Center for Scientific Research, which has an office in Washington, D.C. I'm going to present the 5 tools of the CNRS for its international collaboration. This morning, you heard Claire Berger, who works in one of our tools, by the way, IRL, with the International Research Laboratory located here in Georgia Tech. I will give you a general presentation of all the CNRS international collaboration tools. The CNRS is one of the leading scientific research institutions in the world. These scientists explore the living world, the matter, the universe, and the functioning of the human society in order to meet with the major challenges of today and tomorrow. The CNRS perform in excellent basic research at the service of society. With over 30,000 people, the CNRS conducts research in all fields of knowledge through his 10 specialized institutes. These institutes are CNRS Biology, Mathematics, Nuclei and Particle, Chemistry, Informatics, Physics, Earth and Space, Humanities and Social Sciences, Engineering, Ecology and Environment. Next slide, please. The CNRS has 3 particular targets and 3 main assets. CNRS focuses on social challenges such as climate change, artificial intelligence, energy transition, and educational equalities, but also involved in carbon, water, hydrogen, and quantum technologies. CNRS contributes its expertise to help citizens and decision makers make a decision on environmental and health issues. He is also involved in the fast changing of economic world. Of his main assets, the CNRS has an outstanding interdisciplinary potential with his collaboration between different fields of research. CNRS rely on a strong French network of partners, including universities and national organizations. With offices in 11 countries, the CNRS develops a global cooperation. The CNRS has a budget of 4 billion euros. 27% come from CNRS generated income. For example, research contracts, funding for call for projects and services. Next slide, please. As I told you at the beginning, the CNRS has 5 tools to facilitate international cooperation. The first one is the International Emerging Action. This tool is dedicated to explore new themes and new international partnerships. This takes place through short-term missions, organization of working meetings. In order to apply, project leaders are invited to apply to the annual call launched by the Europe and International Department of the CNRS in all disciplines between June and September each year. The second one is the International Research Networks. This tool aims at structuring an international scientific community around a shared theme of research infrastructure. This tool aims also at promoting the organization of international workshops and seminars or thematic school organized by the network partners in France and abroad. The third one is the International Research Project. This tool aims at consolidating research partnerships. These international research projects are collaborative research projects established between one or more CNRS labs in 1 or 2 foreign countries. The applications must be submitted to the Scientific Institute of the CNRS, to which the bearer unit is attached. The fourth one is the International Research Laboratory. This international research labs aims at structuring highly localized international research collaboration. They are established where research activities are conducted jointly around shared scientific axes. This structure in an identified location, the significant and lasting presence of scientists from a limited number of French and foreign research institutions. The most recent tool created is the International Research Center. An international research center intends to strengthen and perpetuate strategic partnership around structures without walls, bringing together various cooperation. Each international research center will be monitored by a bilateral committee at the highest level of both institutions, which meets regularly for scientific workshops and conferences. This leads to a regular high-level strategic dialogue established following joint responses for call for proposal to facilitate mobility and a special status for researchers in the other institutions. Next slide, please. We have different ways to join the CNRS, either through a call proposal or through permanent position. Or call proposal. Through the year, our office publishes numerous call proposals allowing doctoral students, postdoctoral fellows, and researchers to apply in different fields to French institutes. This communication is through our one of the newsletters is the French Fil de Marianne, which I will talk a little bit later. The second way to join the CNRS is to become an associate or research director. French or foreign researchers are eligible for permanent position at the CNRS. They are recruited through the annual competitive examination. You can find all of this information on the website, on this link, the career of the CNRS. Next slide, please. Our office in Washington has several ways to communicate. We have two newsletters. One is the ADN, meaning Amérique du Nord, is a newsletter that covers 3 countries, the United States, Mexico, and Canada. ADN is a scientific watch of the office, and also aims at publishing science policies and of the 3 countries and the events of our common labs. For example, workshops that are taking place during the year. Our second newsletter is the Fil de Marianne, is a collection of career opportunities for PhD students, postdoc researchers, and other personnel present in North America and wishing to return to France. We have also a booklet that gathers all the cooperation of the CNRS structured action in the US. It is a yearly publication. The 2 first newsletters I mentioned are monthly publication. All our information is available on our website, office website, through the link you can see on the slide right now. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Jeanne. So I think we have a real great overview of all the tools that are available at the embassy level, at the Fulbright Commission level, at the INSERM level, at the CNRS level. So I would suggest that before moving on to the next speaker, let's take a few questions about those variable presentations. So who would like to start?
Will these slides be available after today's meeting? Yeah, thank you.
Yes, all the slides will be available and sent to all the attendees. So if you're not in the rush, beginning of next week, it could be done. And we are also recording this session, and this recording might be available also. Because all the slides were full of information, and I would like really to thank all the 3 speakers we have listened to have provided such a comprehensive overview of all of those tools. Yes, Dr. Guyader, you want to comment on that? No? It was so clear that there's absolutely no question. Okay, so now let's move on to our next speaker, who is Dr. Jean-Paul Salvestrini from Georgia Tech Europe. So Dr. Salvestrini, I will let you introduce yourself, and we are looking forward for your presentation.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. So my name is Jean-Paul Salvestrini. I am with Georgia Tech. I am actually adjunct professor and based in France, in Metz. And I will describe with the coming slides our international research lab. But before, I would like to thank the organizer of this event. So even if it is done remotely, I think it's very, very interesting. So it's a pity my hotel is very next to the campus, and I see that there is no issue with the weather, but okay, it is better to take precaution. So maybe I would like also to more particularly thanks Claire and Thierry, who put a lot of effort in that, and unfortunately there is this issue. So let's get started. So next slide, please. So I'm going to talk about International Research Lab that has been defined just before. Actually, each IRL has its own history and probably its own model. So I will describe our one. So let's start with the history. So it started in 1990, sorry. Since at that time, Georgia Tech would like to have an international campus and decided to bring its effort in France and especially in Metz. So at that time, it started slowly with only 8 graduate scholars, but these numbers increased with time, and especially when the Georgia Tech CNRS International Research Lab was deployed in 2006. A few years after, in 2009, a mirror site has been created in Atlanta. And last but not least, innovation has been also developed on our campus with the Institut Lafayette, which is a platform for technology transfer, especially in the domain of optoelectronics and electronics. And now the total number of students is about 800 per year, which is very nice. Next slide, please. So where are we now? So there are around more than 50 researchers at the time. We are based, so here on the picture, you can see on the left side our campus, the Institut Lafayette, which is very next to our campus. The lab is inside Georgia Tech Europe. And on the right side of the picture, you have one of the implementation of our lab in Atlanta campus. We are working on two main axes. The first one deals with smart materials. So we are working on functional material, especially for optoelectronics, and 3 nitride-based material. We have also work in mechanics of material, especially from the point of view of simulation. And we have a platform of acoustic and terahertz spectroscopy non-destructive evaluation. So that's for the first topic. And the second one deals with the complex systems, so in which we have network information systems, robotics, and the ASDL Europe. So ASDL is a big lab based in Atlanta, and we have a specific part for European application. Next slide, please. Yeah, so if we want to some details, so currently 53 people. So the weight is more on the mass side with 10 faculty from Georgia Tech, 1 CNRS people, 2 technician, 1 engineer, and in Atlanta site there is less, so 6 faculties and 1 CR, 1 DR from CNRS. So let's go to the next slide, please. Here are some pictures of the people. We have the legend for all of that. So you can see if people are with Georgia Tech or with CNRS, and with the green check, it indicates that the corresponding people are based in Atlanta, the other being based in France. Next slide, please. We have also a large number of facilities, 9 lab spaces in Metz for all the topics we are developing, and 3 labs in Atlanta. Next, please. So just to give you an overview of our ongoing projects. So we are, I think we lead all of them, 5 European projects. So among them, there are 2 Marie Curie projects. So that's extremely useful to move a PhD student in between the 2 sites. So that's something, for us, it's the most interesting tool. We have also 13 projects that are funded by the ANR, 3 by the NSF, and 5 by the local authorities in France. So for a total of 6 million euros. So this is our own part for this project. But if we take into account our colleagues from other institutions, it's about 40 million euros. I would like to give you 2 examples I like. So the first one on top is we succeeded in a breakthrough. Actually, we were able to achieve the highest density in terms of micro LEDs for screen, the next generation screen. So by using very specific tool that we developed in our lab. So this was a collaboration with the MIT. And the second project I like is the 2 picture on the bottom. It is the Bug-Bright project funded by the European Commission, where the idea is to implement an autonomous robotic inspection and maintenance of big boats without taking them out from the water. So it's a very huge consortium for that, more than 20 partners, and among them, I think something like 10 corporates. Next. I would like also to focus on the ongoing project that we are performing together between Atlanta and Metz. So we are working on the INTEN project, which is funded by the ANR. So the idea here is to implement a test bed for systems that detect and manage the airborne particles and pathogens. So it's just to double check that everything is fine in a closed environment. The other one is led by Jennifer Asler, David Citrin, and Alexandre Loquet. So completely different topic. The idea is to try to solve NP hard problem with physics-inspired computing. We have also other project with Thierry Lechelet, so who is one of the organizer of this meeting, with Bill Hunt, Abdallah, me, and two hospitals. And the idea is to make a new kind of biosensor based on HAM transistors. We have also a project with Claire, the second organizer. And the idea, as mentioned this morning by Walt, is to encapsulate the graphene, the epigraphene that is developed in Atlanta by this boron nitride material. And finally, the last project funded by ENR is run by Bill, Thierry again, Abdallah and me. Next slide, please. From other information from our lab. So we have an open lab, so a lab without any walls with Stellantis. We have also an international research project, so this IRP, another tool from the CNRS. So it is called Atlas, and it is built with partners in Morocco, several universities in Morocco. And finally, we have a very strong, of course, relationship with the Institut Lafayette, our technological platform. Next, please. So in terms of publications, we try, of course, to have impact. So we were successful this last year. We were able to publish our results in Science, Nature, the major journal. We also, some of the articles we published were again published in some more industry-focused journals. Just to mention that our research is really engineering, and we try to help society and industry for that. Next, please. I think I'm close to just some acknowledgement to all the funders of our lab. And I think I'm done, and thank you very much. So, this is additional slides in case, so I think we can stop here, no problem.
Thank you so much, Dr. Salvestrini, for sharing with us all those very interesting information. So now let's move to questions, if there's any. So don't be shy. Is there any question in the audience? No? Okay, so I think we have another slide. Yes, with the testimonies from different alumni. So now we are going to listen first the alumni from the Fulbright program. So we are going to start with Dr. Marta Epes from the University of North Carolina in Charlotte. And then after Dr. Marta Epes, we are going to listen to the testimony from Chateaubriand program alumni. So Dr. Lauren Fernandez, University of Puerto Rico, Dr. Julissa Raquel Gonzalez Villegas from the University of Puerto Rico, and Dr. Daniela Cardenas from the University of Florida. So please, Dr. Marta Epes, please kindly join us, and we are looking forward to listen and to learn from your experience with the Fulbright program.
Yes, thank you so much for having me today. It's been a wonderful day here in my hotel room, but listening to or traveling to France in a way virtually. So I was a Fulbright scholar. I'm a professor of earth sciences at the University of North Carolina at Charlotte, and I participated in Fulbright as a research professor through Fulbright's Grand Est program in the 22-23 academic year. So I didn't participate in any teaching and was in Strasbourg as a researcher under a talent researcher visa for a year with my 2 children and my husband as well. And I study rock fracture and how climate change and ongoing climate change can impact rock fracturing in the context of things like landslides and geotechnical hazards, in the context of natural phenomena and natural erosion and mountain building and mountain erosion. And in Strasbourg, I was doing experiments, working with experimentalists there, Mike Heap and Patrick Baud, trying to understand how rocks might retain a natural memory of the environmental stresses that they've experienced over their lifetimes at the surface of the earth. And therefore, as they experience hotter temperatures than they've ever felt, that is causing them to explosively fracture all over the world. And so we're trying to understand that phenomenon. So I can't speak highly enough about the Fulbright program. It really opened an enormous amount of doors. I'm happy to answer questions about that. In particular, I will say that because of the Fulbright, I also participated in the University of Strasbourg's Institute of Advanced Study program, where they have quite a bit of money, more so than Fulbright, to bring international scholars to the University of Strasbourg. There's quite a strong biotechnical and biochemistry program there, as well as earth sciences. So many of you in the room could potentially have collaborations there, and that program also was an incredible opportunity. So I think I'll just stop there and give people an opportunity to ask questions about the logistics of that program if they like, or the experience.
Thank you so much, Marta. And if I can add my personal point of view, because I've been also recipient from the Fulbright program, but in the other way, to go to the United States. And I would like to point out that it's indeed a great program for French American exchanges. So I don't know if there's any question for Marta. I would like to be sure to see. So you're more shy than this morning. This morning, maybe everybody was full of energy. Okay, so Marta, I think there's no question. So now we are moving on to the next alumni. So if we could have the slide, please. Yes, so let's move on to Dr. Lauren Fernandez from the University of Puerto Rico for the Chateaubriand program.
Hi, good afternoon, and thank you for inviting me here. I'm so excited to share my experience. I'm originally from Colombia, so I went to Puerto Rico trying to find new opportunities to improve myself and continue to this academic journey. So while I was doing my PhD is in bioinorganic chemistry. So in 2017, we were hit by the Hurricane Maria. So that caused that I was sent to Florida International University for 2 months of internship. Being there, I had to wait for all the materials to come to me to start again my research, because we lost everything. So while I was there, I started looking for opportunities. So I found 2 opportunities. One of them was from Puerto Rico, some kind of aid for researchers, and the Chateaubriand Fellowship. And sorry for my pronunciation, I'm not skilled in French. But I started applying for that program, and I remember going to the website and see how many people have been awarded in Puerto Rico, and only one student, also from our university, was awarded. And I remember thinking how I can win this fellowship over all the universities that were competing all over the US. And as I always said, right, the worst thing that can happen is that they say no. So I still apply and they say yes. So it was a really powerful experience for me. I went to Chimie Parité in Paris under the guidance of Dr. Gilles Gasser. He opened his laboratory for me, and I met some incredible people from Sweden, Germany, France, and many other countries. I was able to make some friends, some connections, and also I have all these resources to do my research. I was researching in the mechanism of action of some anti-cancer drugs that I was synthesizing for lung cancer, and the amount of data I gathered being there was worth like 1 year of work in Puerto Rico. So I was so excited. We are about to publish that work this October, because for the complex of the study, we needed more proof, but still we were able to gather all that data. So I am really grateful for this fellowship. And also I start applying for work, for interviews, and always highlighting this experience helped me to highlight myself. So I was like different from other applicants because of this experience, and I think it helped me a lot to get the position that I have now. I am a faculty researcher at a private university in Puerto Rico. So now Dr. Julissa, that is another alumni, and me, we are helping other people to apply to this fellowship, and many of them have been awarded this past few years. So again, thank you so much for this opportunity to be here to share my experience. And if someone needs more information on how to apply, or maybe do the connection for a French laboratory, I can help with that. And again, thank you so much.
Thank you for this enthusiastic presentation. And now we are moving on to the next speaker, Dr. Julissa Raquel Gonzalez Villegas from the University of Puerto Rico.
Hello to everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Julissa Gonzalez. I'm from Puerto Rico, from the University of Puerto Rico. And I'll feel very happy to share my experience with you. I was a Chateaubriand fellow in 2018. And for me, it was a life-changing experience. As Dr. Lauren Fernandez, I was able to experience the whole immersion in the French culture, but also, but moreover in the research field. And at that time, I was doing my PhD, and my research focuses on the development on drug nanocarriers. We were working with the multifunctionalization of phosphate materials for the nanodelivery of anti-cancer drugs. And it was a really challenge task to characterize this kind of materials due to its nature. But we established a collaboration with the University of Nantes, thanks to the Chateaubriand Fellowships. We established a collaboration with the University of Nantes, where we find very good researchers, very supportive mentors that help me to on the better understanding and characterization of these materials, because they were expert on the characterization of phosphate materials mainly. So we focuses on the using the solid state NMR technique to characterize our materials. And also it was very interesting because we were looking for the understanding of the interactions between drugs inside the layers of zirconium phosphate and the groups inside of these layers. And we find very, very interesting results that we also published in 2 articles. And moreover, we also established a collaboration with the CNRS unit in the CENTI in Orleans, which is the material on extreme conditions, high temperatures, and irradiation laboratory. And as I said, this is a unit of the CNRS. Also, thanks to these collaborations, I was invited to apply for a co-tutel agreement to get a double degree, and I get the opportunity to finish my PhD in inorganic chemistry and also in material chemistry, thanks to this collaboration. I spent 1 year and a half in France, so I was very immersed in the French culture, but moreover in the research community. And I have to say that I was really amazed with the French culture. I also had the opportunity to travel around a little bit and made many friends that I'm still in communication with. And this was a very life-changing experience, like I said at the beginning. So I encourage every student that have the opportunity to apply. It's open many doors in the academic and professional area.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gonzalez Villegas. So now we are going to listen to the last speaker, Dr. Daniela Cardenas from the University of Florida.
Hello, everybody. So my name is Daniela Cardenas. I am from the University of Florida. I am originally from Ecuador, and I went to France in 2022. 2021 after the pandemic. So it was a little bit challenging of that. I spent there for 6 months, and it was a great experience. I was working at the collaboration of India Infra, which is the biggest agriculture from France. And I work in the transcriptomic analysis of Puccinia acuna, which is the causative agent for orange rust disease in sugarcane. In US, there is not much information about this rust, and then that's why we have this collaboration, because in France there is a lot of experts in rust disease. We worked together with Sebastian Duplessis, and he helped me a lot as my mentor. He was a great person. All the lab was helping a lot in this research that it took. Right now it's already 4 years, and we are continuing doing research in transcriptomic analysis and also genomics, continuing with my postdoctoral research. And we are continuing doing a lot of collaborations together on the rust diseases. And for me, it was a great experience. I want to thank for this opportunity, for know the culture. People there were really nice to me, because they were great mentors. And I am like, whoever wants to apply for this scholarship, I will be happy if I can help. So that was what I lived for during these 6 months.
So thank you.
Any questions? Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Yes, please. Yes, go ahead. You could say that, because it's exactly what we are going to say. So thank you for all those testimonies. I think it's very important to have testimonies from alumni from the exchange programs, and I'm inviting the audience to ask questions or to add any comment or to share their personal experience. Is there anybody who would like to take the floor? People are more tired this afternoon.
Yeah, I have a question.
Ah, great. Who's speaking?
Claire.
It's Mireille.
Claire. This is Claire.
Claire. I cannot see. Okay, Claire, please go ahead.
So we have heard really enthusiastic testimony from alumni of this Chateaubriand and Fulbright Fellowship. It's my understanding this is a individual fellowship, right? So now, if you consider the other side, the side of the host, so to get the fellowship, we need to have two things. We need to have a fantastic candidate, and we need to have a very exciting and fruitful program. So is there any kind of matching tool that we can use? You know, if you apply to, if you have an NSF grant or an ANR grant, you have money to get a postdoc, right? And so you're going to post on your website wherever that you have a position open, and you're going to try to find the candidate that match and has the best skills for that particular program. So is there any way we can find the best possible candidates and match the two to maximize the chance of having this wonderful opportunity for both the host and the recipient of the fellowship?
I'm not sure I understand the question, Claire, but I can try to add some additional information.
Okay.
The Office for Science and Technology is working in close relationship with the research organization and try to the level it can to complement every tools for cooperation that have, for instance, CNRS has in the United States, such as the International Research Project or International Research Laboratory, and there is a strong will on our side to allow these laboratories or project in collaboration to benefit as much as possible from our program as well, meaning that a Chateaubriand, for instance, candidate that would involve two labs involved in an international research project, for instance, from CNRS or from INSERM, would be it would be an added value to the laureate to be involved in such a project, given that the scientific level is evaluated A+. So for the same quality of science, for A+ evaluated project, if one laureate is involved in collaboration that is supported also by CNRS or INSERM or INRAE, it will be an added value for the candidate, and it will be. So I'm not sure I answer completely your question, but this is also one way for us to work with the research organization and somehow mutualize our means and towards the same goal. So, but I'm sure I'm not answering completely your your question. So if you can, reformulate.
Maybe I can rephrase it in a very direct fashion. You have a great program. How do you find a candidate?
Oh, it's really call for. So how do we find a candidate?
So not you, but
have one call.
I'm this great program. It's working fantastic. I have a project, and I'm like, oh, there are all these tools. I'm part of this IRL, and yes, this is already an ongoing collaboration between France and the US, but I don't know the. So how do I find these wonderful women that we heard today who would like to work with us?
I can speak to that.
Okay. Go ahead. Otherwise, go ahead.
Me too.
Well, so I just cold emailed with similar interests to me. So if you have a project in France and are looking to bring in an American scholar, I recommend just reaching out to scholars that do the type of work you're looking for directly, because then they will have links to PhD students and their best PhD students or themselves that may be interested in coming over. Also attending, if you want to particularly interact with American scholars, attending the major US conference for your discipline is also a great way to promote this. And all of the American geoscience societies, for example, are really keen to have international collaboration. So there's funding mechanisms through those as well.
Would it be possible, this is Rhonda, would it be possible, this may not be easy, to have a portal
Yes.
where the person who's looking for a postdoc or a PhD student to join their lab because they have funding, but to put a limited time advertisement, not something that is there forever, because it may get filled. So maybe have an advertisement that runs for, say, 2 months at the max, and then it's taken off automatically. And then if it's still not filled, go back in and redo it for the next 2 months, so that there's no reason to monitor, because you don't want to be spending resources monitoring the website and managing the website. But if there's a portal where that could be put in, I know there are portals in certain societies. The American Physical Society has got a portal within the Division of Fluid Dynamics where people routinely advertise for postdocs and for students. In fact, there was one recently from the École Polytechnique, the lab LEDIX, where a professor was looking for a PhD student. But if there is a portal, and if you're suggesting, Claire, that the portal be targeted towards Fulbright and Chateaubriand people, who might already have been recipients, who might be looking for further opportunities, and if they're particularly from France or U.S. students and postdocs who want to go to France and vice versa, U.S. French students and postdocs who want to come to the United States, I wonder if it's possible. I'm just throwing out the idea. Is it possible for the Office of Science and Technology to say, okay, we're going to launch this portal, but we can't manage it. So whatever you put in there lasts for 2 months. Okay. And after 2 months, it gets wiped out. Okay. So if you either fill the position, and that's fine, and you can come back and tell us it was filled, or if you have not told us, it'll get wiped out automatically. Okay.
Thank you, Ranga, for suggesting that. And it's nice to see you, by the way. I'm happy to see you. And I'm happy also that you didn't take the flight.
No, I did. I took.
Oh, you did? Oh, I'm
yes.
sorry. I didn't know. Okay, you did take the flight. Sorry.
I took the flight back.
Okay, never mind. Yes, I think this is something that we could quite easily start. So we're gonna work on that. I understand the point, and usually for it's not rare that some students, for instance, on the US side, because their PIs are not already collaborating with France, but the students would like to have this experience, ask us about possible laboratories in France, for instance, in their field. So we facilitate this contact, but by using a portal would be a great idea. And so we're going to think about it for next year, Ranga. Yes, a very nice idea. Thank you.
And the portal, if I may, could work both ways. That we would be welcome to have someone applying for fellowship with us.
Yes, and I know that for postdocs and others, at least EURAccess, also the European network, is doing also the job country by country, but I don't know to what extent they are comprehensive. I don't know. And for us, yes, of course, it would be on both ways, just that Chateaubriand is only from US to France. So we could add it to the Chateaubriand. We could have a general portal so that everybody can put the hat. I will talk about it also to Martine Roussel, the director of the Franco-American Commission, to see if we can if she allows us, for instance, but I'm sure it will be okay, to also put the Fulbright program as a possibility as well.
I think we have a question from Fabien
Yeah.
Jeunesse.
Yeah, Fabien is
Lauren wanted to
very.
say
So
something.
please, Fabien, go ahead.
Now, I'd like additional pieces of information to Mireille's comments. The first one is that INSERM is co-funding the Chateaubriand program. So we are also trying to help in matching the candidates with the best labs in France. And the second thing is that, I don't know if you are aware of the Fonds France-Canada pour la Recherche, but they are trying to implement a collaboration between France and Canada. And within this program, a Canadian agency, MyTax, provides additional funding for student mobility. So that's something I have in mind. I think that for our programs at INSERM, we should also, on top of the funds allocated by INSERM for major international projects that would get our label, we could also ask some other partners to provide additional funding, and I think that student mobility would be a priority. So that's something I have in mind and I'll try to implement.
Thank you, Fabien. So there's a comment now from Thierry Lechelet.
Something to say.
It's because there was a comment, actually a question that was raised in the chat, and that was from Dr. Lobachev. So
So Kirill Lobachev, question, could you please? Yes, go ahead, please. The question is that he's in the molecular biology field and have a collaborator at Curie. Are there any opportunities for us from your organization? So who would like to comment on that from the speakers?
Okay.
Fabien? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I'll answer this one. So in fact, our office is here to help researchers that are part of INSERM labs. And our labs can be under the management of several entities, such as universities, hospitals, or other research organizations. So when it comes to Institut Curie, they are part also of INSERM, so our office can help for sure.
Thank you. And we had some laureates each year, US students going to the Institut Curie through the Chateaubriand Fellowship as well.
Thank you.
Thierry, you have another question or comment?
Is you hear me now? Yeah, well, I wanted to, because Lauren wanted to say something, but I don't know if you wanted to add something, Lauren.
Yeah, I think the portal is a really good idea. So I just wanted to share my experience on how I found a lab in France. We were in I think conference is a really important tool, because I went to a conference in 2017 in France, and then we connect with one of the PIs of a French lab, and that was the way we found a collaborator that was willing to receive me when I arrived to France. And also in our institution, because of this first student that went that was awarded with the Chateaubriand Fellowship, they always receive the information and they spread with all the department. And the students are the ones that reach to their PI. So that was my experience. I reached to my PI and tell him I want to apply for this opportunity. You can support me. And he told me yes. He went to the conference with me 2 years before we applied for the fellowship, and he contacted the PI, and he was so fast because we were like 2 days, because we have a previous collaborator that at the end said no, and then 2 days before the deadline, my PI told, I remember this person that we met in the conference, so he contacted him and everything go really fast and I could apply on time. So I think conference can be a good tool. Maybe keep sending these emails to the institutions and can bring more students that want to apply. And if they see that it is possible, even with all these big universities all over the US, we can also win, because you give an opportunity for all the students. And also I wanted to highlight that for people that are not from the US, it's really hard to apply for fellowships. We are not allowed because we are not US citizens. So it is really hard. And for me, found this opportunity that I was allowed to apply, it was a really big opportunity. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Lauren, for your testimonial. And yes, you're right. US citizenship is not at all a requirement, and we are happy about that, very happy about that. And I was very happy to see 3 women giving their testimonials today, because it's still a battle to have the as many as the proportion of women applying for this program is still below the proportion of the men applying to this program. So I'm very happy that there were 3 women this afternoon to give that testimonial. And I have a question for you, Lauren. So you had a fantastic experience, and for the 2 others also, for Chateaubriand. And Martha, if you want to say something else about that for the Fulbright, you have all had a very positive experience. Is there anything that we could do better? I know that is there something? Is there things you have struggled a little bit with, and that we can try to improve or facilitate for the next? For the next laureate. Thank you.
My experience, it was really hard to adapt to this new culture, and also found a place to stay for me was really, really hard. Even and you know, Paris is a really big city and it's really occupied. So it was really hard to find a place to stay. I found a room in a family's house. I think I was able to find it because the PSL University have a portal that is for communicating families that are willing to give one room for students, and I was able to find this person that can rent me one room. But still, for me, was hard the thing that I was entering a house that it was not my culture at all. So, you know, my people is really loud. So that was a really, it was a bit difficult at the beginning, but we found a way to make it work between us. And at the end, we have like a really good relationship because it was a 2 boys, and at the end was really a really good relationship. But at the beginning, I struggled finding a place to stay and like trying to adapt. I think they try, I don't know who was, but to create a portal where all the Chateaubriand fellows can communicate, but not many of them are willing to communicate. I don't know why. But I tried to contact other fellows to meet them there because I was feeling really alone. But at the end, everything worked. I was able to make it work. But I think it was the thing that I struggled the most.
Is there any other question or comment?
Yeah, I wanted to ask that happened in my case. So everything went smooth because the infra, they have a lot of international people coming to their research. So they have already all this dynamic of they know where the students are gonna go to the hotel and all that stuff. But for me, it was kind of difficult to talk in French. So maybe I don't know if other recipients they can add like maybe like a few classes that the embassy can let them know where is like a place that they can have a little bit of classes or something like that. That would be good.
Thank you.
I think there was Monsef Drissi Hapti who would like to maybe to comment or to have any question. Monsef from the University of Eiffel. I think you're on mute.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you, Pascal. Thank you, Pascal. I regarding this special point of accommodation, okay, there is how to say a rush toward this business of providing flats and accommodation for PhD students, foreign PhD students, and recently, this recent 4 years, there is a rush with many companies having buildings with flats especially designed for students. Okay, I can testify because I am, how to say, regarding my jobs, I'm welcoming many students coming from around the world, and we can find very easily a solution to make them accommodate and be among other students. Not only that, but in many other cities, big cities in France, Lyon, Paris, Nantes, there are special structures erected by the universities to host students from A to Z. They take care of everything. Not only that, but for instance, just for the case of Nantes, the lady in charge of this international relations is from Chile. So she is perfectly aware of what are the issues pertaining to the acceptation of students and taking care the best way she can to help them have the best condition when they are coming to France. So just this is a testimony from, because I'm really, it's something that was, how to say, available in Asia first, in Japan in general, and the model was copied to France, and now it's perfectly working.
Thank you, Monsef. Any other comment or any other question? So that wraps up our 4th session dedicated to all the available resources for transatlantic research collaboration. And this was an additional insightful session. So thank you to all our speakers and our alumni for their valuable insights.
Our friends in Atlanta for support and contribution to the success of this event. And I extend my sincerest thanks to Dr. Raymond Chinazi of Emory University, whose generous support made this event possible. His keynote presentation and the discussion that followed offered a powerful reflection on his distinguished career as a researcher, an entrepreneur, and a philanthropist, and set a tone of inspiration, I think, for the entire day. I am also grateful to Dr. Bernard Kiplen and Florence from the Office for International Initiatives at the Georgia Institute of Technology for their invaluable role in supporting this summit. Heartfelt thank you as well to Dr. Claire Berger and Dr. Thierry Lechelet and the entire CNRS International Research Laboratory team hosted at Georgia Tech. Their vision and hard work have brought together this remarkable gathering of researchers and innovators. I also want to acknowledge the contributions of our distinguished panelists, a diverse group of experts who traveled from France and across the Southeastern United States to share their collaborative project. These sessions highlighted the groundbreaking work being conducted by institutions such as Georgia Tech, CNRS, CEA, Université de Paris-Saclay, and Florida International University, reinforcing the strength of international scientific partnerships. I would also like to recognize the Chateaubriand and Fulbright alumni whose ongoing work continues to bridge our nations. A special thanks to the teams at the Atlanta Consulate and the Office for Science and Technology in Washington, who played a vital role in making today's summit a success. I am equally grateful to the Georgia Tech PhD students who provided crucial support in organizing this event. And I would like to particularly give a virtual round of applause to the team of champions who worked until late last night to find at the very last minute a technical solution that would enable us to be together today, and who stayed throughout this video conference to keep things running smoothly. Yann, Yacine, Claire, Thierry, Pascal, Pauline, and Juliette, without you, this virtual edition of the France Science Summit would not have been possible. Thank you. Today's summit touched on key themes of collaboration. Session 1 and 2 highlighted successful scientific collaboration between American and French researchers, showcasing the power of remote research partnership and human connections across borders. Session 3 provided regional perspectives on the rich scientific landscape of the Southeastern United States, particularly in North Carolina and Alabama, and emphasized the research support tools available in the region. Session 4 introduced collaboration tools, including mobility programs and international research structures, such as International Research Laboratory and French research antenna like CNRS and INSERM, demonstrating France's significant presence and involvement in the United States. As Counselor for Science and Technology, I am really proud to witness such strong and growing ties between the scientific communities of France and the United States. Today's discussions have undoubtedly paved the way for new ideas, connections, and collaborations, and I hope they will serve as a catalyst for even greater cooperations in the years to come. Thank you all for your active participation and contributions throughout the day, despite the virtual conditions, and we look forward to welcoming you in person next year as we continue to deepen and expand the transatlantic partnerships that drive innovation and scientific progress. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I would like to join Mireille Guyader, and also I'm very grateful to all the organizers and the crisis board for in the last 24 hours. So thank you so much to Thierry Lechelet, as earlier mentioned, to Claire Berger, especially thank to Pauline Boulet and to Juliette Falway, and also to the two dedicated PhD students, Yacine and Yann. So thank you so much, and we did it. So I think, Ranga, you have your hand risen. You want, no, okay. You don't want to share anything else. So please keep connected, and please switch on your camera because our dedicated PhDs will take care of taking picture. So there are some people that are still with switched off camera. So I let Yassine and Jan taking care of that to take a picture of most of the attendees. And Yassine and Jan, you will tell us when it's done.
Almost done. Just a quick second.
Yeah.
Everyone smiles.
It's done? I cannot hear you, Jan.
Oh yeah, I think it looks good. I think I have everyone. So
Okay,
I hope
thank
so
you.
then. That was
So,
good.
Thank you.
so
Thank you,
just to
guys.
finish,
Thank you.
I declare the first edition of the France Atlanta Science Summit closed, and I thank you all for attending this meeting.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
See
you
next
very, very much.
Thank you for
Very much.
coming.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.